Hi, I haven't posted a video in quite a long time, and I think it's important too because it's got a lot to do with the topic of what I want to discuss today, which is coping with how you address trauma after dealing with what I have dealt with, as I've discussed in other videos. 15 years I've been abused physically and raped, and the fact that it's been a year, and well, I suppose the pressure that you start to put on yourself, that you think that a lot of people will expect you to be kind of getting over it. Well, every situation obviously is different, but in mine, I find quite often the last time I remember not being in a situation where my life wasn't being controlled and not being in a state of constant fear was 1999, and I was 17 years old, and I'm now in my mid-30s, almost mid-30s, and I have really not been present in my life completely during my 20s, and up until now I still find it difficult because if I can create an image for you, it's felt like I've had something similar to what a horse would wear, the harness I think they call it, where the person's got the reins behind it, which the assailant was obviously controlling. And even though the assailants are no longer there and the reins have been dropped, I kind of don't know how to lift off the saddle or the thing which goes around the horse. And that obviously has a lot to do with the Stockholm Syndrome, but it's also how do you eliminate 15 years of control because of being completely made to feel like you have no reason to exist. Well, I have to say, prior to this assailant coming into my life wasn't easy, but I have to say, even though I was already 2 years, had come out to my mother, who was fantastic and supportive, even though she was in a state of shock for a little while. I was obviously at an all-boys school, so I experienced bullying to the extreme of being bashed constantly. And then I did the last 3 years of my education of year 10, 11 and 12 at home. So, and my father was also not, unfortunately, the he basically wouldn't win Father of the Year, far from it. He was also quite violent and unstable. So I haven't really known a life without violence existing. And this assailant knew how vulnerable I was. It's almost like he could smell it. And I often find it difficult to be around people because I automatically assume, and I have actually had people come just straight out say to me, so you're getting over it? And the one thing I'd like to say is I personally don't get up. The fact I get up every day is a sign that I don't go out of my way to go and dwell on what has occurred to me. It comes to me like almost like a bolt of lightning, and it feels like you're present exactly in the moment whenever the violent act occurred, the rape, whenever it is. It's like, even if you want to picture it, as you know how it's often depicted as Scrooge in A Christmas Carol flying over and watching Christmas past and present, future. And it's like you're just revisiting some horrible moments, and it's and you're using all the methods that, because I see two counsellors, a psychologist and a counsellor, which, look, anybody out there that is dealing with coming out of being abused, violent, sexual, verbal, whatever it may be, it definitely, you need support, professional support. I could not do without it. I've just been far too fragile, and well, it's partly the reason why I have not been able to do more videos, because I really do have a passion. I really am dedicated to doing this page because I would like to make a difference in transgender awareness. My case may have been a landmark in the sense of fact of being transgendered and a stepdaughter and an adult, but it's very difficult, as I've said in the past, when you're confronted with the fact that you're told that you may have people on a jury that will be anti-transgender and may decide that the assailant is not guilty based purely on their prejudice. And I want to turn this negative in my life into something that I can reach out and help others. I really do, because I think it is the only way that what that man did to me is not going to be just something that I'm going to end up fading away and not knowing how to live. And I know, and I want people to know that there's someone out there who completely understands if they can't speak up, they don't know how to get out of a situation, or if they are out of a situation, how to cope with all the mixed emotions that happen, because it's every day is different. And look, please feel free to send emails if you have any questions you'd like to ask at support skey127@yahoo.com.au, and I'll be more than happy to answer them if you're having queries about abuse. And I just would love to start a community to be able to help people in the transgender community and all the wider, as I've said before, even if it's a teen being teased at school or given a hard time. I've been there as well. And, it's difficult also because during all those years I lost very important people in my life. My 3 grandparents, and my grandmother, who died just 3 weeks after the assailant was apprehended, had dementia. And I'm so also passionate about finding help and research and ways to engage people with dementia and Alzheimer's to not be, I suppose, treated like as if they no longer understand, because it's amazing if you put a bit of music that they would have listened to, that their eyes say more than, even if they can't verbalize what they want to say. It's not as if their brain dead, and I don't mean that in a horrible way. They really are there, and their smiles, you almost have to, you can't really treat them as the way they were before the dementia, but you treat them, you have fun with them, make them enjoy every day. And I was so lucky to have my grandmother around for, I wish she didn't have that illness, but she was a great support in helping me cope, especially in the last, from 2012 onwards, because things were just, I was just spiraling into I didn't know how to cope. And I love her deeply, and you're always on my mind. And another thing is, I'd like to say thank you to all who helped in not closing down the page. I don't want to put anything on, I don't intend to put anything on here that would be offensive. It's my Facebook page is there to help others, and I don't expect to shove the fact of people who don't want to accept that transgendered people are just, as some person has said, you're just a mutilated man. Look, I'm not out there to try and convince anyone. I've spent 17 years trying to accept who I am, and I'm not going to try. And I've come at peace with that, and I was always at peace with that, but I just wish that I didn't have to deal with the wounds of what that man constantly said to me about the fact that I was transgendered, because I never doubted the fact that I had pride, the fact that I was happy to be who I am. But it's obvious, for me anyway, I always am quite emotional about the fact of children and having a family, and from a very young age. And I'm sure many transgendered people feel likewise, and if they're lucky to have children, it's wonderful. And supportive children, and it's just things you deal with, and you understand, well, I'm in this position, and obviously, hopefully there are ways that people in the community obviously can get children, and adoption and surrogacy and so forth. But obviously I'm not in the position at this point in my life, and I probably may never be, to ever have children. But I just really would like to say, more than anything, this Facebook, and also on YouTube, because I do also post my videos on YouTube on support is the key. If they type that into the YouTube, you'll find me. And just to make awareness out there that for anyone going through abuse and domestic violence, as we hear so much about it in Victoria, it's happening all over the world. We need to put a stop and make laws different, and to make the people that are responsible pay. And I would really, again, like to thank everybody that follows the page and likes my comments and the videos. It means a great deal to me. I really can't put it into words. I'm not one who's very good at English, but I'm trying my best. And look, for anyone who is not in a position where they're dealing with a violent situation, but you know of someone, just try and be there. they may not want to talk about the situation, or they just may need to. It's just wonderful. You can just be supportive. I mean, and I suppose be aware of certain things, maybe to avoid saying, maybe you need to try and move forward and things, because everybody deals with things at their own pace. And it's, and I know most people say those things with the best of intentions, but sometimes people's mental states are not prepared, are not able to cope with that. So, and one another important key is, please, anybody who is dealing or have come out of a situation where they are able to get professional help, please seek it. It's definitely a must, because you need to be able to talk. And I just thank you for listening. Hope it wasn't too long a video, and have until the next time, thank you very much.